David R. here. Today I'm going to talk to you about this book, Type 1 Diabetes for Dummies by Alan L. Rubin, MD. A good place to start with this book is the cheat sheet. As you can see, essential tests for people with type 1 diabetes. It's important to check your feet. Your blood pressure, your weight, I don't know about height so much, but your hemoglobin, A1C, etc., etc. Eye exam, especially important. You know, if you are thinking that maybe you might be developing ketoacidosis, these are some of the symptoms that you will have. You see that? Abdominal pain, frequent urination and thirst, etc. I'm going to try not to tear this. You know, and recognizing and treating hypoglycemia, that's another important one. You see that, like sweating, anxiety, irritability, headache. There's all kinds of things that can go wrong there. You know, take your glucose tablets, things. This book was published in 2008, so it's a bit older. There are some new technologies that have been developed since then. But I'll take you through it. Part 1, defining type 1 diabetes, considering the consequences of type 1 diabetes, treating type 1 diabetes, living with type 1 diabetes in part of 10. So let's go to chapter 1, defining type 1 diabetes. Let's see here. Dealing with type 1 diabetes is chapter 1. This is what you want to do. You keep records of your blood sugars, exercise. Basically, you have to keep records of everything. Eat very carefully, have a positive outlook. You see what I mean? Keep records of things. Understanding what type 1 diabetes is and isn't. You know, it is an autoimmune disease. Fasting blood sugar or blood glucose should never be over 125. I think they've changed that, though. I think it's like around 100 now. Handling of physical and emotional consequences of type 1 diabetes. Yeah, you know, people get upset because they constantly have to deal with this. You know, there's low blood sugars, there's high blood sugars. It's a 24-hour thing. You know, undergoing regular testing, blood pressure check, height and weight, foot exam, A1C, eye exam, etc. You know, eating wisely. Yeah, see a dietitian. That's very important. Counting carbs. Exercise is good for diabetics, type 1 or type 2. Taking insulin. You know, make sure you inject your insulin into the fat and not the muscle, unless you want your blood sugar to go down quickly. That's, you know, deciding on pancreas transplant or kidney transplant. I mean, it could be a lot of things. You know, living with type 1 diabetes, handling school, work, and other activities, adjusting sick days and travel. And then for women here, and then the aging. Understanding how type 1 diabetes works. You know, understand what glucose is, what insulin is. Let me see here. Take up glucose without using insulin. Figure 2.1, they show you the pancreas. And, you know, you have patient stories, etc., etc. Excluding other types of diabetes. So you have type 2 and latent autoimmune diabetes from type 1 diabetes. Type 2 diabetes, it's a little different. Not much different, but it is a little different than type 1. And then you have LADA. I don't really hear about this one today, I think it's lumped in with type 1 or type 2. I only hear type 1 or type 2. That's all I ever hear about. You have other issues here. There are a number of other diabetes causing conditions associated with overproduction of hormones, including tumors. It's a lot of things you have to deal with as a type 1 diabetic. Now you have to consider the short-term complications. Let's see. You could raise your blood sugar too high, or it could go too low, and then you have alcohol if you drink. I suggest probably not drinking if you're diabetic. Let's see. Yeah. I mean, there's all kinds of things you have to deal with as a diabetic. It's sad, I know. Long-term complications. Yeah, like eye damage, kidney damage, nerve damage. I have a model of the eye there. Kidney issues. Nerve damage. Hyperthyroidism and hypothyroidism. So you see, there's a lot of things you have to deal with as a diabetic. So you need to take care of your blood sugars, handling emotional effects, coming to terms with the diagnosis. Let's see. So you can see there's famous people who have diabetes. And on here. Essential tests and monitoring blood glucose. You always want to monitor your glucose and take care of your feet. Go to your doctor's exams. Get your blood pressure checked. Eating a healthy diet. Know about carbohydrates, what they do, like glucose, sucrose, starches. Know about the glycemic index. Let's see. This banana has a low GI, but a high GI would be glucose or potato. Let's see. High GI, low GI. Exercising to improve control of type 1 diabetes. See, exercise controls blood pressure, blood sugar, keeps you limber, gives you stronger bones, etc. Deciding to devote an hour each day to fitness. Then I give you some exercises here. And some others. Understanding the basics of insulin. What does insulin do? What are the different types of external insulin? calculating the bolus dose. Here's a syringe and an insulin bottle. Using an insulin pump. Some people use the pump, but not everyone, because it depends on your activity, I think. Like managing illness and travel, and the list goes on. You know, I think you should consider this book, or at least get one that's newer. Anyway, that's all I got. Talk to you later. Bye.